The buzz of the phone on the granite countertop is a perfectly ordinary sound. It's a sound I've heard 1,000 times, usually signaling something mundane, a reminder for an appointment, a notification from a news app, a silly meme from a friend. But this time, the sound cuts through the quiet hum of the refrigerator like a gunshot. I'm standing at the stove, stirring a risotto that needs constant attention, a creamy, fragrant cloud of Parmesan and white wine rising to meet me. The air is warm and smells of home, of the life Mark and I have built. Or the life I thought we had built. I wipe my hands on my apron, a floral one his mother gave me for Christmas 2 years ago, and pick up the phone. His name is on the screen. Mark. A little bubble of affection inflates in my chest. He's at a client dinner tonight, a big one. He'd been nervous about it all week, pacing the length of our living room, rehearsing his pitch under his breath. I'd made him his favorite breakfast this morning, pancakes with real maple syrup, for good luck. I smile, assuming the text is an update, a little thinking of you message. I slide my thumb across the screen. And then the world stops. The risotto, the warm kitchen, the soft glow of the under-cabinet lighting, it all dissolves into a roaring static in my ears. There are only 6 words on the screen, a clean, black-on-white execution. I love her, not you. My breath catches in my throat. I read the words again. And again. They don't change. They don't soften. They are brutal and absolute and aimed directly at my heart. For a long, silent moment, I don't understand. It feels like a language I don't speak, a communication from a different reality. This can't be for me. It's a mistake. A terrible, universe-altering mistake. My mind scrambles for an explanation. A closed white. A hacked phone. A prank. Anything but the truth that's sitting cold and heavy in my gut. The spoon in my other hand clatters to the floor, splattering creamy rice across the polished hardwood. I don't bend to pick it up. I can't seem to move. My entire body is frozen, a statue of a wife in a floral apron, holding a poison dart that was meant for someone else. The phone buzzes again. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely read the screen. It's Mark again. Wrong person. Ignore that. There it is. The confirmation and the dismissal, all in one.
No apology. No panique.
Just a command. Ignore it. As if I could simply unsee the words that have just ripped a hole through the fabric of my reality. As if I could just go back to stirring the risotto and waiting for my husband to come home. The smell of burning garlic suddenly fills the air. The risotto is ruined. And in that moment I know, with a certainty that chills me to the bone, that everything else is too. The world can shatter in the time it takes to read 6 words. It's a strange thing to have your life so cleanly bisected into a before and an after. If you've ever had a moment like that, a single second that changed everything that came after, I'd love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. And if you feel like it, subscribing to the channel helps me share more of these stories for anyone who might need to hear them. It helps more than you know. Before those 6 words, life was comfortable, predictable. It was a life built on a foundation of shared dreams and mutual sacrifices, or so I believed. Mark and I met in college. He was the ambitious, charismatic debater who could talk his way into or out of anything. I was the quiet, studious art history major, happy to live in the world of books and paintings. He was the sun. I was the one who orbited him, happy to be warmed by his light. We were, everyone said, the perfect couple. He brought me out of my shell, and I grounded him. It was a story we told ourselves so often that it became true. After graduation, his career took off like a rocket. He joined a prestigious financial firm, and his star began to rise. The firm wanted him to relocate for promotion. It was a big move, halfway across the country, away from my family, my friends, the museum where I'd just been offered a junior curatorial position I'd dreamed of since I was a little girl. We talked about it for weeks. Or rather, he talked. He painted a picture of our future, a beautiful house in the suburbs, financial security, a life of comfort and ease. It's for us, Clara, he'd said, taking my hands in his. This sets us up for life. Your career can be portable. You can do freelance research, write articles. But this opportunity for me, this is once in a lifetime. I remember the feeling of my own dreams turning to dust in my mouth, but I swallowed it down. I loved him. And love, I believed, was about sacrifice. So I packed my books, resigned from my dream job, and followed him. We bought the house he'd promised, a beautiful colonial with a wide green lawn and a porch swing. I painted the walls, planted a garden, and tried to build a new life while he worked 16-hour days, climbing the corporate ladder. I became the perfect corporate wife. I hosted his client dinners, remembered his colleagues' birthdays, and laughed at his boss's terrible jokes. I managed our finances, our home, our social calendar. I was the scaffolding that held up the grand cathedral of his career. He was the one everyone admired, but I was the one who made sure the foundation was solid. And for a while, it was enough. I found a certain satisfaction in our shared success. His promotions felt like my promotions. The bonuses he earned bought the furniture I picked out, the vacations we took. We were a team. But slowly, imperceptibly at first, things began to shift. The late nights at the office became more frequent. The business trip stretched from days into weeks. When he was home, he was distant, his face illuminated by the blue glow of his phone, his thumbs always moving. He'd angle the screen away if I walked into the room. When I'd ask who he was texting, he'd wave a dismissive hand. Just work, honey. You know how Harrison is. The distance grew into a quiet chill in our home. Our conversations became purely logistical. Did you pick up the dry cleaning? Don't forget we have dinner with the Martins on Friday. The easy intimacy we once shared evaporated, replaced by a polite, hollow courtesy. He stopped telling me about his day, about the deals he was closing or the office politics that used to fascinate him. When I tried to talk about my own small world, an article I was writing, a new book I was reading, his eyes would glaze over. He was physically present, but his mind was 1,000 miles away. I tried to bridge the gap. I suggested date nights, weekend getaways. He was always too busy, too tired. Next month, Clara, I promise. Things are just crazy right now. Next month never came. I started to feel like a ghost in my own home, haunting the rooms we had once filled with laughter. The loneliness was a physical ache, a constant companion. I told myself it was just a phase, a natural byproduct of a high-pressure career. I made excuses for him, to myself and to our friends. He's under so much stress, I'd say with a practiced, sympathetic smile. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. It was a tiny, dark thing, but it was there. And his text message, those 6 brutal words, was the water and sun that made it burst into horrifying bloom. He comes home hours later. I'm sitting in the dark living room, the ruined risotto cold and congealed in the pot on the stove. I haven't moved. The house is silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall, each tick marking another second of my shattered life. I hear his key in the lock, the familiar click and whoosh as the front door opens. He steps inside, humming a little tune. He flicks on the hall light, and the sudden brightness makes me flinch. Clara? You're still up? He asks, his voice breezy. He's shrugging off his coat, not even looking at me. Dinner was a huge success. I think we landed the Henderson account. It's massive. He finally turns and sees me sitting there in the dark, my face pale in the sliver of light from the hall. His smile falters. What's wrong? Why are all the lights off? I don't say anything. I just hold up my phone, the screen glowing in the darkness. The 2 texts are still there, a digital testament to his betrayal. He squints, then his eyes widen as he recognizes the words. For a fleeting second I see it.
Panic.
A raw, animal fear flashes across his face before he snuffs it out, replacing it with a mask of annoyed impatience. This is the moment. The moment he could apologize, could break down, could show an ounce of remorse. The moment he could try to save us. He doesn't take it. Oh, for God's sake, Clara, he sighs, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. I told you to ignore that.
It was a stupid mistake.
I was texting a buddy of mine. We were joking about a character in a movie. It was meant for him. The lie is so blatant, so insulting in its simplicity, that it takes my breath away. A movie character? Does he really think I'm that stupid? That naive? The pain in my chest, which had been a dull, throbbing ache, sharpens into something else.
Rage.
Cold and pure. A movie character? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. What movie character, Mark? He waves his hand dismissively. I don't know, some dumb action movie. It doesn't matter. You're making a big deal out of nothing. I'm exhausted, and I have an early meeting. Can we just drop this? He starts to walk past me, towards the stairs, as if the conversation is over. As if he has the right to declare it over. No, I say. The word is quiet, but it stops him in his tracks. He turns back, and now the annoyance is gone, replaced by a flicker of anger. No, we can't just drop this. You sent me a text saying you love someone else.
You don't get to just walk away from that.
I told you it wasn't for you, he snaps, his voice rising. It was a mistake. Why are you being so hysterical? Hysterical. The word hangs in the air between us, a classic weapon of gaslighters and cheats. He's trying to flip the script, to make me the unreasonable one, the crazy wife who can't take a joke. For years, this tactic would have worked. I would have doubted myself, apologized for being too sensitive, and retreated, wounded, to lick my wounds in private. But something inside me has broken. The part of me that always sought to smooth things over, to keep the peace, has been shattered. All that's left is a jagged edge. I am not being hysterical, I say, my voice steady now, gaining strength. I am being a wife whose husband just confessed to an affair. By accident, but he confessed all the same. So, who is she, Mark? He stares at me, his jaw tight. The silence stretches on, thick with unspoken truths. The grandfather clock ticks, a merciless metronome counting down the end of our marriage. There is no one, he says, his voice flat and cold. You're imagining things. You've been emotional lately. Maybe you should talk to someone. He's not just denying it. He's trying to build my cage. He's laying the foundation to paint me as unstable, unwell. The cruelty of it is breathtaking. He's not just leaving me. He's trying to invalidate my reality, to make me question my own sanity before he walks out the door. He turns without another word and goes upstairs. A few minutes later, I hear the click of the guest room door. He has retreated. He has left me alone in the dark with the ruins of our life. I sit there for another hour, the phone still clutched in my hand. The rage cools, solidifying into a hard, clear purpose. He thinks he can control this narrative. He thinks he can manage his exit, leaving my reputation in tatters while he moves on to his new life. He has no idea who he's dealing with. He has mistaken my kindness for weakness for the very last time. The next few days are a special kind of hell, a masterclass in psychological warfare. Mark acts as if nothing has happened. He emerges from the guest room each morning dressed in an immaculate suit, smiling his charming, public smile. He makes coffee, asks if I slept well, and comments on the weather, all with the breezy air of a man without a care in the world. It's a performance, and it's designed to drive me mad. He is daring me to break the fragile peace, to be the one who screams, who cries, who makes a scene. He wants me to become the hysterical woman he's already decided I am. I don't give him the satisfaction. I move through the house like a phantom, my grief a heavy cloak around my shoulders. I say nothing. I eat nothing. I just watch him. I watch the way his thumbs fly across his phone screen when he thinks I'm not looking. I watch the way he takes calls in the garage, his voice a low, intimate murmur. I watch the way he looks at me when he thinks I can't see, with a mixture of pity and contempt. He's waiting for me to shatter. I am waiting for him to make another mistake. He starts leaving little landmines for me to step on. He'll mention a new restaurant that's open downtown. You'd love it, Clara. We should go sometime, but his tone is off, the invitation hollow. It's a test. He's checking to see if I'll cling to the hope of reconciliation. I just nod, my face a blank mask. He starts talking about the future, about a vacation to Italy we'd always dreamed of. Maybe next spring, he says, watching my face for a reaction. I give him none. My silence unnerves him. My grief was predictable. My anger would have been manageable. But my quiet, watchful stillness? It puts him on edge. He doesn't know what I'm thinking, and for a man who needs to control everything, that is intolerable. The real battle begins with our finances. I've always managed our joint accounts, paid the bills, handled the investments. It was a role I took on gladly, another way to support his career. Now, I see it was a strategic error. One afternoon, I log into our online banking portal to pay the mortgage. Access denied. Invalid password. A cold dread spreads through my chest. I try again. Same result. I click the forgot password link. The recovery email isn't mine. He's changed it. He's locked me out of our own money. I confront him that evening, my voice shaking with a fury I can no longer contain. You changed the bank passwords, Mark. He doesn't even have the decency to look surprised. He just takes a slow sip of his whiskey, his eyes cold and steady over the rim of the glass. It's for the best, Clara. You've been erratic lately. I thought it would be better if I managed things for a while. Just until you're feeling more yourself. Feeling more myself? I repeat, the words tasting like ash. You mean until I forget you're cheating on me? I've told you you're imagining things, he says, his voice dangerously soft. And this reaction right now? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're losing control. He's so calm, so reasonable. He's building his case, brick by brick, and using my own pain as the mortar. He is gaslighting me into a corner, and the walls are closing in. I feel a wave of helplessness wash over me. He has the money. He has the narrative. What do I have? A single screenshot.
6 words on a phone.
He escalates. He starts talking to our friends, our family. I can feel it in the way they speak to me. The concern calls from my own mother. Clara, honey, Mark called.
He's so worried about you.
He said you haven't been sleeping, that you seem distant. Is everything okay? My best friend, Sarah, meets me for coffee, her eyes full of pity. Mark told me you two are going through a rough patch. He feels terrible. He said he's been working so much. He's afraid he's neglected you. He's poisoning the well. He is methodically isolating me, painting himself as the concerned, devoted husband, and me as the fragile, unraveling wife. He is laying the groundwork for his departure, ensuring that when he finally leaves, everyone will nod sadly and say, well, he really tried. But she just wasn't well. He's not just destroying our marriage. He's trying to steal my past, my present, and my future, recasting me as the villain in my own life story. The loneliness is an ocean, and I am drowning in it. I look in the mirror and barely recognize the pale, haunted woman staring back at me. Her eyes are hollow, her shoulders slumped in defeat. He is winning. The nights are the worst. I lie awake in our bed. He's still in the guest room, a courtesy that feels more like a punishment, and I stare at the ceiling, my mind a relentless carousel of memories. I dissect every moment of our 15 years together, searching for the truth. Was any of it real? The laughter, the promises, the quiet moments of connection? Or was it all a performance, a long con leading to this agonizing conclusion? I scroll through the photos on my phone. Us on our honeymoon in Hawaii, smiling and sunburned. Us in front of our first apartment, holding the keys like a trophy. Us at Christmas last year, surrounded by his family. A perfect portrait of happiness. It all feels like a lie. Every shared smile, every loving glance, is now tainted by the knowledge of what was to come. The grief is a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I am lost in a fog of sorrow and betrayal, with no clear path forward. It feels like the end of the world, and in a way it is. The world I knew, the life I built, the woman I was, it's all gone, burned to the ground by 6 words sent in a careless moment of passion. One night, I can't sleep. It's 3 a.m, and the house is so quiet it feels like it's holding its breath. The silence is a canvas, and my mind paints it with anxieties and fears. I slip out of bed and wander downstairs, needing a distraction, something to do with my hands. I end up in his study, a room I usually avoid. It's his sanctuary, filled with leather-bound books he's never read and awards from his company. On a shelf in the corner, covered in a thin layer of dust, is his old laptop. He replaced it last year after declaring it a useless brick, but he never got around to throwing it out. I don't know what makes me do it. A flicker of intuition? A desperate, last-ditch effort to find something, anything, that feels like solid ground? I pick it up, blow the dust off the lid, and carry it to the kitchen. I plug it in, my heart thumping a nervous rhythm against my ribs. The screen flickers to life. He thought it was broken, but it was just the charging cable that was frayed. A new one from my own desk drawer brings it back to life. It boots up slowly, groaning like an old man waking from a long nap. He hadn't bothered to wipe it. Why would he? It was a brick. His old email account is still logged in. I hesitate for a moment, a pang of my former self, the one who believed in privacy and trust, holding me back. Then I think of his cold eyes, his condescending tone, the word hysterical. I click. I start scrolling through old emails, archived messages, deleted items. It's mostly work stuff, boring financial reports, and endless email chains about synergy and deliverables.
And then I see it.
A folder, not in his work email, but in a personal account he must have forgotten about. The folder is titled simply, Strategy. My blood runs cold. I click on it. There's only one document inside. It's a Word file, named Exit Docs. I open it. And the world falls away again. It's not just a plan. It's a manifesto. A cold, calculated, step-by-step guide to dismantling our marriage and my life. It's dated 6 months ago. 6 months. He has been planning this for half a year. It's all there in crisp corporate bullet points. Phase 1. Emotional distancing. Create emotional distance to establish a pattern of marital breakdown. Reduce physical intimacy. Increase work-related travel and late nights. Phase 2. Narrative control. Begin socializing the narrative of Clara's emotional instability with friends and family. Frame it as concern for her well-being. Document her erratic behavior. I feel sick. He's been documenting our arguments, twisting my words, my tears, my frustrations into evidence of my supposed decline. An argument we had about his mother is listed as episode of paranoia. A night I cried because I felt lonely is recorded as unprovoked bout of depression. Phase 3. Financial separation. Secure primary control over liquid assets. Shift funds from joint accounts to a private account. Prepare initial divorce settlement offering, leveraging her emotional state for a swift, favorable resolution. And then, the final, devastating blow. I was a fool. The document is meticulous. It includes drafts of texts to send to his mother, scripts for conversations with friends, even a list of divorce lawyers specializing in high-conflict cases. He had a file of my emails, my texts, all taken out of context to build his case. He wasn't just leaving me. He was orchestrating a coup. He was planning to leave me with nothing. No money, no reputation, no friends, not even my own sanity. The grief that had been drowning me for weeks evaporates, replaced by something else.
Ice.
A cold, crystalline rage that clarifies everything. The sadness is gone. The hurt is gone. All that remains is a diamond-hard certainty. This is not a heartbreak. This is a war. And he has just handed me his entire battle plan. I look at the laptop, at the glowing screen full of his treachery. He thinks he's so smart, so strategic. He thinks he's 10 steps ahead. But he left his playbook on the battlefield. I save a copy of the Exit Docs file to a flash drive. I take a picture of the screen with my phone. And then I close the laptop, my mind whirring. The game has changed. I am no longer the victim in his story. I am the architect of his downfall. Armed with the exit strategy document, I feel a shift in the balance of power, but it's a secret I have to keep. The days that follow are a tightrope walk. I have to continue playing the part of the broken, grieving wife, while underneath, my mind is a whirlwind of calculation and planning. Every condescending word from Mark, every pitying look from a friend, is no longer a wound. It's fuel. My first move is to secure my own position. I can't fight him without resources. The flash drive is my primary weapon, but I need more. I take a portion of the cash I'd been saving in a personal account he didn't know about, a rainy day fund my grandmother had insisted I keep, and I hire a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, but the sharpest, most ruthless divorce attorney in the city. A woman named Ms. DeLuca, who has a reputation for dismantling narcissists. I sit in her sleek, minimalist office, the city's skyline glittering behind her. I tell her everything, my voice low and steady. I don't cry. I simply lay out the facts, the text, the gaslighting, the financial lockout. Then, I place the flash drive on her polished mahogany desk. This is his entire plan, I say. He calls it his exit strategy. Ms. DeLuca plugs the drive into her computer. As she reads, her expression shifts from professional sympathy to a kind of predatory focus. Her eyes narrow. A slow, grim smile touches her lips. Mr. Peterson has made a classic mistake, she says, her voice like gravel. He put it in writing. Men like him, they're so arrogant they think they'll never get caught. They need to feel smart, to feel in control. This document, this is a gift. She lays out our counter-strategy. We won't let him know we have it, not yet. We will let him continue to think he's in control. We will let him file for divorce first. We will let him make his lowball offer. And then, at the opportune moment, we will show our hand. He wants to play chess, she says, leaning forward. We're going to let him set up the whole board, move all his little pieces into position right where he wants them. And then we're going to flip the table over. Leaving her office, I feel a sense of clarity I haven't felt in years. The fog of confusion and despair has lifted. But the path ahead is still treacherous. Mark's campaign of isolation is working. My own sister calls, her voice laced with worry. Clara, Mark told me you accused him of cheating. Honey, are you sure?
He sounds so devastated.
He said you haven't been yourself. It's a knife twist, hearing my own family parrot his lies. I want to scream the truth, to show them the file, but I can't. Not yet. I have to hold my tongue, to endure their well-meaning but misguided concern. I'm just going through some things, I say, my voice a hollow echo of the truth. The pressure mounts. He officially serves me with divorce papers. They arrive via a courier, a thick manila envelope that feels like it weighs 100 pounds. The terms are exactly what I expected. He gets the house, the majority of the investments, and offers me a paltry alimony for 2 years, citing my instability as a reason I can't be trusted with a larger settlement. It's an insult, wrapped in legal jargon. Attached is a letter from his lawyer, a smug, condescending note urging me to accept the generous offer, to avoid a painful and public court battle. He's threatening to use the evidence he's been collecting against me to humiliate me in court and drag my name through the mud. He thinks he has me cornered. He thinks I'm alone, broke, and emotionally fragile. He comes home that night with a look of false sympathy on his face. I'm so sorry it's come to this, Clara, he says, his voice dripping with insincere regret. I really am. I hope you'll accept the terms. It's the best way to handle this with dignity.
Dignity.
The word is a joke. He's talking about dignity after orchestrating a 6-month campaign to systematically destroy me. I look at him, at his handsome, earnest face, the face I once loved, and I feel nothing but a profound, chilling emptiness. He is a stranger, a monster wearing my husband's skin. I say nothing. I just take the papers and go to my bedroom and close the door. That night is the darkest yet. The legal documents on my nightstand feel like a death sentence. Ms. DeLuca is confident, but the process will be long and brutal. He will lie in court. He will have her friends and family testify to my instability. He will try to break me on the witness stand. The thought of it, of having my pain and private life dissected under the cold lights of a courtroom, is terrifying. For a moment, my resolve wavers. Maybe I should just take the deal. Sign the papers, take the pittance he's offering, and just disappear. Start over somewhere new, with a new name and try to forget any of this ever happened. It would be easier. It would be less painful. I curl up in bed, the weight of it all crushing me. I feel small and powerless again, the ice in my veins turning back into a flood of desperate tears. He has all the power. He has the money, the friends, the perfect public image. I have a flash drive and a lawyer he can probably outspend 100 times over. All seems lost. He has anticipated my every move, and now he is closing in for the kill. The house is silent around me, but my mind is screaming. Is this how it ends? With me broken and defeated, just as he planned. I lie there for hours, adrift in a sea of despair. My phone is on the nightstand, dark and silent. I pick it up, my thumb hovering over the photo gallery. I open the first picture I took that night. The screenshot. I love her, not you, the 6 words that started it all. I stare at them, the black letters stark against the white background. This was his first mistake. The one he made before his grand strategy was even fully in motion. It was careless. It was arrogant. It was pure, unadulterated Mark. And then I look at the divorce papers again, at the threat from his lawyer about a public court battle. He's threatening to expose me. To expose my instability. His entire strategy is built on his control of the narrative, on his public image as the good guy, the long-suffering husband. And that's when it hits me. A realization so simple and so powerful it cuts through the despair like a bolt of lightning. His strength is his weakness. His perfect image, the one he has spent years cultivating, is not a fortress. It's a house of cards. He's built it on 3 main pillars. His career. He's the golden boy at his firm, the protege of its conservative, image-obsessed CEO, Mr. Harrison. His family. He's the perfect son to his doting, domineering mother, Eleanor, for whom appearances are everything. His community. He's a respected deacon at our church, a moral pillar, a man admired by the congregation and its leader, Reverend Michael. He's threatening to fight me in the closed, private sphere of a courtroom, where he thinks he can control the story. But what if the battle isn't fought there? What if I take the truth public? Not to the whole world. That would be messy and unpredictable. I need a surgical strike. I need to knock down the 3 pillars that hold up his entire world. If they fall, everything else will come crashing down with them. His exit strategy was designed for a long, drawn-out siege. He's not prepared for a swift, targeted demolition. The tears stop. The shaking in my hands subsides. A cold, hard calm settles over me. I'm not going to fight his war. I'm not going to play his game. I'm going to end it.
Right now.
I sit up, my back straight. I pick up my phone, my fingers moving with a newfound purpose. He thinks he's in control. He thinks he's already won. He's about to find out how wrong he is. My despair has burned away, leaving behind something clean and sharp and dangerous. Resolve. He wanted a war. He's about to get one. But it won't be the one he was planning for. My fingers are steady as I open my email app. The house is completely silent, the kind of deep night stillness that feels both peaceful and menacing. For me, it's the quiet of the operating room just before the first incision. I create a new message. The blinking cursor on the screen is the only thing that seems to be moving in the entire universe. It pulses like a heartbeat. My heartbeat. Calm, even resolute. I don't write a long, angry tirade. I don't pour out my pain or list his betrayals. Vengeance, I realize in this moment, is a dish best served cold. And emotionless. And with irrefutable proof. I leave the body of the email completely blank. I click the paperclip icon. I navigate to my photo gallery. I select the screenshot. The image of his text message, "I love her, not you," fills the screen for a second before attaching itself to the email. A single, damning exhibit. Then the subject line. I type 2 words. Regarding Mark, it's neutral, professional, impossible to ignore. It suggests importance without revealing intent. It's a quiet summons, not a declaration of war. Now, for the recipients. This is the crucial part. The 3 pillars. I begin to type. Mr. Harrison's email address autofills. He's the CEO of Mark's firm, an old-school titan of industry who values loyalty and public image above all else. His company has a strict morality clause for its senior executives, something Mark himself once bragged about, calling it a great way to keep the riffraff out. Click. The first pillar is targeted.
Next, elle.
Eleanor Peterson. My mother-in-law. A woman who presides over her family like a queen, whose entire identity is wrapped up in the perfection of her children, especially her golden boy, Mark. Her approval is the air he breathes. A scandal would not just disappoint her. It would humiliate her in her social circle, a fate she considers worse than death.
Click.
The second pillar is targeted. Finally, Rev. Reverend Michael, the pastor of our church. A kind but deeply traditional man who has held Mark up as an example of faithful Christian leadership. Mark is a deacon. He teaches Sunday school to teenagers. He gives speeches at fundraisers about the sanctity of marriage. His moral standing in the community is a cornerstone of his identity.
Click.
The third pillar is targeted. 3 recipients. 3 pillars of Mark's carefully constructed world. The email is ready. My finger hovers over the send button. This is the point of no return. For a split second, I hesitate. The face of the man I married, the young, hopeful man from college, flashes in my mind. The memory is a ghost, faint and powerless. He is not that man anymore. Maybe he never was. I think of the exit strategy document of the cold, clinical way he planned to destroy me. I think of the word hysterical. My finger comes down.
Click.
The email vanishes into the digital ether. A profound sense of quiet descends upon me. It's done. The missile has been launched. There's a strange lightness in my chest, as if I've been carrying a 100-pound weight for months and have finally set it down. But I'm not finished. There's one more message to send. I open my texts. I find my conversation with Mark. The last message is his from weeks ago, a mundane on my way home. I tap the camera icon. I select the screenshot again. The same image. I love her, not you. I press send, with no words, no explanation. Just his own betrayal, mirrored back at him. Let him see what I have just done. Let him wonder for a few precious seconds what it means. I place the phone face down on the nightstand. I turn off the lamp. I lie back against the pillows, and for the first time in months, I close my eyes and feel a sense of peace. The storm is coming. I know it is. But I am no longer lost at sea. I am the storm. I fall into a deep, dreamless sleep. I'm woken by a sound I have never heard before. It's a raw, guttural scream, a noise of pure, undiluted panic. It's coming from the guest room down the hall. It's Mark. My phone on the nightstand begins to vibrate violently, buzzing against the wood like a trapped insect. I pick it up. The screen is lit with his name. I ignore the call. I let it go to voicemail. He screams again, followed by the sound of something crashing, maybe a lamp being thrown against a wall. A second later, the phone rings again. I silence it. A text message pops up. Then another. And another. They are a frantic, misspelled jumble of fury and terror. What did you do? Call me right now, Clara. You've ruined everything. I read the messages with a detached curiosity. There's no remorse.
No apology.
Only outrage that his perfect plan has been disrupted. He's not angry that I'm hurt. He's terrified that he's been exposed. While his text alerts are still dinging, another call comes in. It's not him. It's Eleanor, his mother. I decline the call. A moment later, an email notification flashes across the top of my screen. The sender, Mr. Harrison. The subject, urgent. The preview reads, Mark, be in my office at 8 a.m. sharp. Do not be late. It's happening. It's all happening, faster than I could have imagined. The pillars are not just shaking. They are crumbling all at once in the middle of the night. Mark is now frantically pounding on my locked bedroom door. Clara, open this door.
Open this damn door right now.
We need to talk. His voice is no longer the calm, condescending tone of a man in control. It's the desperate, ragged plea of a cornered animal. The mask is gone. The charming, successful, pious man has vanished, replaced by this panicked, screaming creature on the other side of my door. He thought his exit strategy was a brilliant piece of tactical planning. But it was all predicated on one thing: him controlling the flow of information. He planned for every contingency except one, that I would refuse to play his game and instead burn the entire board. He had a strategy for a long, drawn-out divorce court battle. He had a script for how to handle my tears and accusations. He had no strategy for this. No strategy for the simultaneous, instantaneous implosion of his entire life. His boss, his mother, and his pastor all received the same piece of information at the same time. There is no one he can call first to spin the story. There is no narrative he can control. He is trapped in the wreckage, and the only piece of evidence anyone has is the one that damns him completely, written in his own words. The pounding on the door continues, punctuated by a string of curses. "You psycho! You have no idea what you've done," he bellows. "Oh, but I do. I know exactly what I've done. I have taken back my life. I have taken back my story." He thought the screenshot was a weapon he had accidentally handed me. He never imagined I would know exactly where to aim it for maximum impact. He was so busy planning my destruction that he never thought to protect himself. The pounding eventually stops. I hear his footsteps retreating down the hall, then the frantic sounds of him grabbing his things. A few minutes later, the front door slams shut. And then silence. A true, deep silence, no longer menacing, but peaceful. The storm has passed. The fallout is immediate and catastrophic for him. The next morning, Ms. DeLuca calls me. Her voice is electric. "Clara, I've just had the most interesting call from Mark Peterson's lawyer. It seems his client is suddenly highly motivated to settle. Immediately. And on our terms." Mr. Harrison, true to form, did not appreciate having the firm's reputation jeopardized. Mark was placed on indefinite, unpaid leave, his career trajectory instantly flatlining. The morality clause was invoked, and his multi-million-dollar severance package was voided. He was, in a professional sense, finished. His boss had spent a lifetime building that company's sterling reputation, and he wasn't about to let Mark's sordid personal life tarnish it. Eleanor, his mother, was even more ruthless. Public humiliation was her greatest fear, and her son had delivered it to her doorstep. She didn't just get angry, she excommunicated him. She cut him off financially and emotionally, telling him he was a disgrace to the family name. The perfect son had shattered her perfect reflection, and for that, he was unforgivable. Reverend Michael was perhaps the kindest, but in some ways, the most devastating. He called me, his voice full of sorrow. He apologized for not seeing the truth sooner, for being taken in by Mark's facade. Mark was asked to step down from his deaconship and all other church leadership positions. The community that had once admired him now looked at him with pity and judgment. He was a pariah in the one place he had claimed to find solace. Mark, stripped of his job, his family's support, and his community standing, had no fight left in him. His threats of a public court battle were empty. He had nothing left to leverage. In fact, the exit strategy document, which my lawyer now presented to his, became the final nail in his coffin. Faced with the evidence of his premeditated cruelty, he folded completely. The divorce was settled in record time. I got the house. I got more than half of our assets, including his now frozen stock options. I got a substantial alimony agreement, with no end date. I got everything he had tried to keep from me. He was left with a mountain of legal bills, a tarnished reputation, and a small, sad apartment across town. Amelia, the her from the text, apparently had no interest in sticking by a man who had lost everything. She was last seen cozying up to another rising star at the firm. I never spoke to Mark again. I saw him once, months later, across the street at a coffee shop. He looked diminished. His expensive suit was slightly rumpled. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by a weary slump in his shoulders. He looked older, grayer. Our eyes met for a brief second across the traffic. I saw a flicker of the old anger, but underneath it was something else, the hollowed-out look of a man who had built his entire world on lies, only to see it all washed away. I didn't feel hatred. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt nothing at all. He was just a stranger, a ghost from a life that was no longer mine. I sold the house. It held too many memories, too many ghosts. I packed up my books, my clothes, and the few pieces of furniture that felt truly mine. I moved to a new city, a place by the ocean where I didn't know a soul. I got a small apartment with a big balcony, overlooking the water. I started working again, not as a freelance writer in the shadow of someone else's career, but for myself. I took a job at a local art gallery, starting at the bottom, happily breathing in the familiar smell of old canvas and turpentine. The scars are still there. Betrayal leaves a mark that never truly fades. There are days when a certain song on the radio or the scent of a particular cologne will send a phantom pain through my chest. The trust one once gave so freely is gone, replaced by a cautious, guarded stillness. I am more wary now, more self-reliant. I learned the hard way that the only person you can ever truly count on is yourself. But it's not a sad ending. It's a quiet one. It's an ending of reclamation. Some nights, I sit on my balcony, a glass of wine in my hand, and I watch the sun set over the ocean. The sky bleeds into shades of orange and purple, and the waves crash on the shore in a steady, soothing rhythm. The air is clean and salty. In these moments, I feel a profound sense of peace. I survived. I fought back, not with screams and accusations, but with a quiet, calculated strategy of my own. He tried to erase me, to write me out of my own life as an unstable, hysterical footnote. But I took the pen back, and I wrote my own ending. It's an ending where I am whole, where I am free, and where I am finally, truly myself. They say the best revenge is living well. I think maybe the best revenge is simply taking back the power that was stolen from you, piece by piece, until you feel solid in your own skin again. Thank you for being here, for listening to my story. Subscribing to the channel helps bring more of these to life, for anyone who needs to hear that they aren't alone and that even the deepest darkness can be followed by a new dawn.